So we're waiting. We got a couple minutes while we wait for the next session here. So you guys have any Q&A, any thoughts? Do we do any thought provoking this morning? New to the real estate industry and just got my license last week. Excellent. Soon be starting to look for a brokerage. Any advice? Well, I think you'll get some guidance in this next session. Anonymous attendee. I like your name. It's different. And yeah, really, you got to find out what works for you and what vibe, what tribe, what kind of people you want to deal with, and who do you think is going to be your best business partner to take you to whatever next level it is that you want. And that's really what it's about. Who's going to be your best business partner, and treat it that way, because that's really the only way to treat this. Anybody who just pretends it's about, it's a percentage or it's this or it's that, they're just missing the big picture. This is a long time career. We talked about how people been with us for 20 years, 26 years, right? In this business, it's a long-term partnership, and look at it that way. So when you're interviewing, think about who's going to be there, who's got the ability to coach you through all the things you don't know yet, to make sure that belief stays strong so you can get through any hurdles. You're going to have a bunch of hurdles. Make sure people know how to get you through those and keep you, our motto is empower, educate, and encourage. So our job, everything we do, is to see what we can do to empower our people, educate them, and encourage them to be the best they can be, and put a big ass smile on your face. So wherever you are, whatever brokerage is around for do that, see who's going to do that for you, and don't join anybody until you get that vibe and feeling that that's your tribe. That's the best advice I can give you for that.
Well, I would add to that the brokerage should enable you to do more transactions. See, more transactions are worth thousands of dollars. An extra 10% is worth hundreds of dollars.
Good point.
So if a brokerage can put you in a position where you can make an extra transaction, you make $7,000. If you get a higher split, an extra 10%, you get an extra $700, but you got to do 10 more transactions to make up the one transaction that the brokerage would have helped you get. It's a shell game that
right.
The brokers are just looking for body counts so they can charge you monthly fees.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because that rolls into our session. This session is...
Are we starting now? Is it 1 o'clock?
Yeah. Yep. This session is about simplifying your business plan for Q1. And before we get into the nitty gritty of it, because we will, I think we need to talk about the big picture for a second. And one of the things you hear us talk about all the time is self-awareness, right? And we need to be very clear about what is possible for you and what you're willing to accept, okay? Because you could, in the next quarter, go out and do 30 transactions. You're going to have no life, but you can go do it, okay? Do you really want that? That's the question, right? And are you really going to put the time in to get the skill sets? And are you willing to talk to the number of people it's going to take to do that many transactions? Because you're not going to see your kids, right, as much as you would if you didn't. So you got to start really thinking big picture here about what do you really, really, really want? What's the self-awareness? What are you capable of doing? Is that realistic for you? Is it something you really want? What's the why? Because 30 transactions is going to give you 200, right? It's going to give you 20,000 bucks. Now 30 transactions, $7,000, you're going to be making a lot of money at that. Do you need that? And are you used to making that? Because if you're not, then your drunk monkey is going to get into overdrive and it's going to pull you back in.
Well, I think there's an exercise for that too, Jeff. I mean, play the game. Mm-hmm. Pretend for a moment you have consistent income of $20,000 a month. And most people can't imagine this, right? So in your current lifestyle, I'm going to
if you have that much, it's an additional $20,000 a month. Think about that.
Okay. So you make your mortgage payment, there's $2,000. You got $18,000 left to spend this month. Make your car payment, that's $600. Now you got $17,400 left to spend. You do some groceries, buy some nice organic stuff, $500 a month, groceries. Now you got $17,100 left to spend. And if every month you had that coming in, most people live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's an astonishing percentage. Like 84% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck and have no savings, right? But I've got some very high income earning friends that make like $1 million a year. And they don't get, what's $1 million a year divided by 26 pay periods? $38,000 every 2 weeks. They don't get $38,000 every 2 weeks. They go into deferred compensation plans to manage taxes, and they've got investment funds that they put things into. You can't spend $38,000 a month. I mean, you could, but
you've got to change your lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Because
And
your
that-
mortgage payment's not $2,000 anymore. Now it's 8.
Right.
And your car's not 600. Now it's 1,200, right? So those are the incremental next levels. Should you really want that? Do you need that? I don't know. It's up to you. And are you committed to doing that? Because there's a lot of pressure. It's a different level of pressure with a $8,000 mortgage payment than it is with a $2,000 mortgage payment, and different pressure with a $1,500 car payment versus a $500 car payment. And yeah, it's an extra couple of deals. It's easy to do deals, right? It's just a matter of, do you really want it? Because don't say you want it because somebody thinks that they want to hear that you want it, because that will never happen. And that's, I think, the biggest issue that we see is people say, well, I want to go be masters, I want Centurion, I want to make $100,000 a year. And you're not used to making more than 60, and your mind isn't even wrapped around $100,000 lifestyle because it's used to 60, right? So that's as your business partner, that's what our role is here, is to help you navigate through these ideas about what's going on here, right? What's real for you? What's self-awareness? What's going to put a big ass smile on your face at the end of Q1? Because that's ultimately our goal with everybody we work for, is when you're sitting there March 30th, March 31st, and you're looking back on your Q1, what puts a big ass smile on your face? And that's the only thing I want to focus on today, is what's responsible, what's realistic, what's exciting, and what will you commit to? And that's kind of the outcome at the end of this session here today.
Well, let's get a little honest with everybody, Jeff. You and I are both coached by Matthew Ferry, right? You mentioned his book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life. I certainly recommend everybody get that book and read it. And what does Matthew make us do every quarter?
Set our intentions.
We have to set our intentions. In what areas? All areas: our personal, our family, our business, our health, our wealth, our investments, all those things. We set intentions, and he grinds us on them every 2 weeks about what are we doing to take action on those. Yep. Right. So I think the intention part is really important. And, Chris does a good job when he talks about the balance wheel of life that Tony Robbins talks about. If you've got your wheel of life and all your little spokes, and you're very low, and your social life and your work life is very high, well, that wheel doesn't roll very smooth. It's bumpy. So the ultimate goal is to use real estate to better your life, right? So you set intentions in the areas of your health and your wealth and your family and your friends and your social and your contribution, and all those things is what makes us balanced. And that's where, this is the concept here is our simple business plan. And our dad, Jim, probably has read every real estate book on the planet. And he summarized everything into one document, which we call the Art of Life Betterment, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But I think the most important thing is, we call it the why, but it's, having a clear intention of what you're going to do. I want to make $20,000 a month. Great. What are you going to spend it on? You're going to have to go create a savings plan. You're going to have to create a tax deferred plan. You're going to have to do other things, because most of us don't have to spend $20,000 a month. Right.
Or do you want to? And that's the type of lifestyles that we need to talk about. And then, going back to the self-awareness part of this thing, I wrote down there's 3 things that you get to choose. You get to choose the type of clients you want to work with. I mean, don't you? You get to choose, who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with buyers, or do you want to work with sellers? Who else is going to choose that for you? It's you. You're either going to go out and find people that want to sell their house, or you're going to buy Zillow leads for buyers, right? I mean, or you're going to look for buyers, or you're going to look for sellers. So what type of client do you want? What kind of price point? What kind of homes? What kind of area? Do you want to work with first timers? Do you want to work with retirees? Do you want to work with investment properties? Do you want to work with divorced people? Do you want to work with estate homes? It doesn't matter, right? But you get to choose. And most people don't do this. They're like, I'm in real estate, bring me something, right? And that's not a good business model, right? So the business plan simplified is, what kind of client do you want, right? What kind of business do you want to create for yourself, right? How do you want your clients to treat you? How do you want to treat yourself? Like, what's your perfect career like? And what's your ideal schedule? And this is what you get to sit back and really think about for Q1, because this can be different in Q2 and different in Q4. We're talking about Q1 right now. Like, say, all right, are you happy to work 6 days a week? Do you want a day off? Do you want 2 days off? Do you want Tuesday off, or do you want Thursday off? Do you, right? What kind of schedule do you want? When do you take kids to school? Do you pick kids up? Do you have any obligations in the morning and the evening? Do you want to play dodgeball in a league? Do you want to do softball? You want to take painting? You want to take piano? You want to do yoga? You want to do beach walks 3 times a week? I mean, what schedule do you want? Because all of this is important, right? Because now you start to say, okay, what am I willing to do, right? How much time am I willing to commit to this one? And what are the results that I actually want? And that's kind of where the simplified business is. You got to start here, guys. You got to figure out, what is this all about? At the end of March, I look back and I had time with my family. I had time for myself. My health is good. My debt is paid down. My savings accounts are up. I've got this much in inventory. I've got these many pendings, right? This is an intention that you get to create. And it's the mindset and it's the beliefs that Chris and I talked about before lunch, that all is the foundation work for this. Because what's possible for you? Because if your goal for Q1 is to do more than you did in Q4 right now, then your drunk monkey's already working in overdrive saying, not going to happen, bullshit, never going to do it, you're not going to do it, not going to happen. And then you're in trouble because you're not emotionally charged or attached yet, because you haven't designed what your why looks like. What does your life look like at the end of Q1, right? That's the issue that we have. So let's make some assumptions or intentions, and I want you guys to do it yourself. What does Q1 look like? Craig, let's talk about a couple of non-negotiables.
Well, let's first get clear. We're talking about generating, and this gets a little complicated, but it's really not. We're talking about generating new business in Q1. You might already have 8 deals in the bag and a close. Well, that doesn't count. We're talking about generating new business, right? And let's be honest. Here, we have 400 and something people in our company, and over 150 have done nothing this year. They're sitting on the couch watching Netflix, smoking pot. Nothing. But we have 200 agents that have produced a lot. And of the 200 that are producing, 50% are producing at master's level and above. Same market, same town, same leadership, same management, same coaching. But why is 25%, I'm sorry, I said 50, about 25% of our agents producing at master's level, which is $149,000 gross commission a year. And they've got the same resources and tools. It's all here. It's mindset, it's desire, it's intention, it's belief in yourself, it's awareness. You guys were talking about that earlier, right?
It's the why. It's the why and the mindset.
That's the most important thing. Mindset is the most important thing of all. And a lot of us run around with self-doubt. Some people are saying the pandemic has killed the industry. And some people say, this is the best year I've ever had. I've got a text from Mike Meadler, the president of C21, saying to you and I, Jeff, he sent a group text to you and I, saying, congratulations, boys. I just looked up your numbers. You're 7% ahead of last year. And we had 3 months of no business. How did that happen? What happened when the pandemic hit? What did we do?
Went full throttle down.
We went full throttle. We started pushing content, and we got engagement, and people played the game, and we gave really, really strong guidance and advice and tactical things to do. Hell, we give you daily post every day, right? Real estate related to post to your social media. We doubled down and we stayed alive and thrived.
And guys, we dodged a major bullet. Everybody watching this, we dodged a major bullet, because we did not have to be deemed essential services. We could have been shut down like this industry was in many other states around the country and other countries around the world, right? You could argue that we shouldn't have been out working, right? Because of whatever reason.
Hey, Jeff, I talked to my friend in Spain yesterday, Sunday. There's a curfew. They're not allowed on the street after 10 p.m.
Yep.
My daughter lives in Chicago. I mean, there's no restaurants. Restaurants are shut down now, not even for, takeout only, not even outdoor dining. Yep. I mean, we are just blessed in so many ways, and it's a shame to waste it and not take advantage of it.
Well, one of the whys I know came out of the pandemic for most of the people that we're working with right now is to make sure, not a wish or a hope, to make sure that you have at least 6 months of liquid cash flow, accessible liquid assets to cover at least 6 months of full expenses, right? You just, it's completely irresponsible not to have that in this day and age, in this market right now.
All right. I'm going to ask you a question, not you a question, Jeff, everybody a question. And I don't want you to answer it, but I want you to think hard about it. You should know, what does it cost you a month to float your household in its current condition? House payment, car payment, insurance payment, school payments, daycare, all the stuff you got to pay. What does it cost you monthly to live? If you don't know that, part of business planning 101, you need to know your expenses, right? So write that down. If you don't know, go through your credit cards, go through your checkbook, find out what you spend on a monthly basis, right? That's number one.
Yep.
And then number two is look at your outside sources of income. I talked to one of our long-term agents over probably Thanksgiving-ish. I just call the agents from time to time. She has $120,000 a year in rental income. She owns 20 houses now. She's been buying houses. She's been with us for a long, you know who I'm talking about now. But she owns 20 houses, got $120,000 a year in rental income. Passive income just flowing in every month. Now, that didn't happen in year one. She's been doing this for 26 years, but she started brand new, right? That's where we get to step one of our game we're going to play with you. It's called the primary aim. Where do you want to be in the future? So a part of our job is to make you aware of what things are, right? So number one, know what your income requirements are. Number two, what are your external sources? So if you're let's say you're transitioning into real estate from a stay-at-home mom and your housing expenses are $7,500 a month, but your spouse makes $8,000 a month. How much do you need to make? This is one of the biggest problems I see, is a lot of people don't have a need for the income. So I'm going to encourage you to create a need, right? You have to have a why. Maybe, you know, you're doing well as a family and you take vacations every year, but what if your income, just dream a little, what if your income could upgrade the family to first class? What if your income could upgrade the ski villa to the ski in, ski out versus staying at the hotel in town?
Or what if your spouse, God forbid, got laid off and that income stopped and you had to carry the boat?
Yeah. All right. And then back to your original point, Jeff, having 6 months worth of cash, if it costs you $6,000 a month to float the boat, you need to really have $36,000 in cash liquid, just in case something were to happen. You know, health insurance is super expensive. If you don't have it, you need to get it. You know, so you start thinking about things like that. So this is the holistic approach to the business plan, the simple part of the business plan, which we just made not simple, because these are some of the hardest decisions and things you're going to have to do. But I want you to recognize something. This industry provides you with the opportunity to do anything you want. You know, when you're a 9-to-5er at a corporate job with a salary, the chance of you making an extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in a quarter doesn't exist, right? Even if you drove Uber on the side 8 hours a night and didn't sleep, you're not going to make an extra $20,000. But you guys can land a Century21.com lead from the internet and get $1 million sale because you just answered your phone because you weren't redballed in Lead Router.
Or have the mindset, comfort, and belief to go up to $1.3 million expired.
Yep.
Right.
So I think we should be appreciative of the fact that we have the capacity to do more, and your friends should be jealous because they can't do that. And you're letting them down if you don't do it. How about that?
And it goes back to what we talked about this morning. There's you guys know this, right? We didn't just speak brand new words to you. You know this. That's probably why you got in this business. Unlimited earning potential, right? Which unfortunately includes the number 0, right? So that's the options of what you can make in real estate. But you know this, but there was that unconscious resistance that's stopping you from going to whatever that next level is. So let's continue down that path. So you've got your monthly nut, right? What it costs you to live. You have to bring in that much money. You're going to lose your house and your car, right? And starve. So it's not negotiable. You have to earn at that level. And it's probably the level that you're earning right now, if you look at that, because you're designed to stay at your level of comfort, not necessarily beyond that, because it's stressful and it's unnecessary until your why becomes strong to raise that level of necessity. right? It's kind of what we just spent the morning talking about. So what we're trying to figure out, what we need to figure out together is on March 31st, right? When you're sitting back going, geez, that was one hell of a Q1. I can't believe interest rates were that low. I can't believe how much business I had. What fun clients I had. That was my best quarter ever. I really enjoyed it. And look what I made, right? This is where we come from. This is the visualization part. This goes back in the primary aim part, is like, what is this about? And then we say, okay, let's go through it. I made a dent. I've saved some money. I paid off my bad debt. Let's talk about that for a second, Craig. Like, what should we pay off versus what should we not worry about paying off?
Well, you have good debt and you have bad debt. So your bad debt is your credit card debt. You don't get to write off the interest. You don't get any benefit from it. And it's super, super high. Your car debt is fine. You can write that off on your income taxes as a business expense. Your house expense debt is good because you can write off your taxes and your insurance and your interest expense. So that's really the only debt you should have. Credit card debt is the worst. Oh, and student loans need to go away, right? So maybe before you start dreaming about the fancy trips and first class trip plans and ski in, ski out chalets, you pay off your student loans and your credit card debt. You know, all the people with student loans are missing the entire opportunity to take advantage of these low interest rates. I mean, there's an argument that's one of the biggest crises in this country. Yeah. And here we are in an industry where if we actually showed up and followed a schedule and made the contacts we're supposed to make, we could eliminate all of your problems, right? But you have to have that belief that you can do it, and you can. So why don't we jump into the auto real estate, because it's all going to tie in. All right.
It's all going to tie in, and then we're going to come up with a hypothetical plan for you that you can tweak and adjust on this one. So we're going to go through the auto real estate. You want to share it?
I got it up.
Okay.
All right. So this is the simple one-page business plan. Let's make it.
And for all of our agents, this is in .loop, and
yes,
this is in the Art of Life Betterment, and you could actually go download this and print that and fill it out. It's fillable.
But it should take more than that. All right. So the concept is your name. It's at a 90-day plan, and Q1 is what we're talking about, January 1 through March 31. Number one is empower your strengths. We didn't really talk too much about the DIS.
No, it's in this part of self-awareness, but we can, we're not going to dig into it deep. But who am I? You know your strengths and weaknesses. The D personalities, the I, the S's, the C's. We're not going to get into that in depth right now, but you know your strengths and weaknesses. If you don't, reach out to us, and we'll walk you through that process.
And we go back to the point where people like people who are like themselves. So if you're a high D, you're going to be attractive to the high Ds.
And we're going to hit that, by the way, our next session with Chris, we're going to hit into that.
Okay. So let's not spend a lot of time on it now. So the idea is know your personality type so you can learn what your customer's personality type is, because the best compliment you can give them is treating them the way they want to be treated. So me, for example, I'm an analytical. It drives me crazy. Jeff will call me and say, hey, Craig, we got a deal. We got to act on it fast. I need a check like in 10 minutes. That's not how I act. I have to process and go through things differently, but it happens between us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if he was being more respectful of his brother, he would give him time to process. But
I operate off my gut. I'm like, okay, quick, looks like a good deal. I'm going to do it. Here's the check.
Right. So
none of them are right. They're just different, right?
They're just different. Exactly. I think Jeff's nuts, and he thinks I'm retarded. So there it is. So that's it. That's the first part of the sales and the business plan, is understanding your personality type so you can learn other people's, and then you can adapt yours to get along with your customers so that they trust you, like you, and know that you care about them. Then goals. So strength, goals, primary life goals for your primary aim, which the concept is, where's the link to the primary aim form? It's usually in here. Huh. The concept is 5 years from now, you're going to take your dream, right? I'm 5 years older than I am today. My spouse is 5 years older. My children are 5 years older, right? And just start thinking, oh my gosh, you're 5 years closer to death, right? I mean, it's a different perspective, but here's a concept. People tend to overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5, right? Everybody to a T joins real estate. They want to make 100 grand a year. How many people do you think make 100 grand a year in real estate? 5%, 10% the most?
If that, yeah.
if that. So it's just a pipe dream, and everybody wants to do it in their first year. But you're learning a brand new industry, a brand new job. Cut yourself some slack. So we focus on the activities. And in this quarter, I want to make this much, and this much in a year, and this much in 5 years. And we've got a whole process we'll go through on that. But then this is where the key comes in: your proposed schedule for the next 90 days. So somebody put a question up the other day and said, I'm getting started. I'm full-time with another job.
Well,
I don't care.
Pause that thought for a second. Let's finish the 5-year thing for just a quick second, because this is a real important thing. What is, we joke, but it's really kind of become a fundamental cornerstone of the company. What puts a big ass smile on your face? So to underestimate what you can accomplish in 5 years is the biggest understatement in the world, right? Your life could be ridiculously everything you wanted within a 5-year period. That's a lot of time. So if it were to be the best it could ever possibly be, what does that life look like? What do you look like? Who are you with, right? What is your home? What is your car? What are your vacations? Like the perfect world. What's your schedule? Ideal world that you're living in. What puts that big ass smile on your face? And then you say, okay, what does that cost? Maybe it's 300 grand, 400 grand a year, whatever the number may be. Okay, so my 5-year number is 300 grand a year. So what does it cost in year 4? What's reasonable bump from year 4 to year 5? So if I could be making 250, that's a nice jump to 300. And then in year 3, I should be making, 200. Year 2, I should be making 150. So first year, if I can get to 100 grand, that kind of puts me on my path to that lifestyle. You guys following the process? So 100 grand, 120, 150, 200, 300. So my next year, if I can make 100 grand, I'm crushing it. But that's too big of a chunk. So we always talk about chunking down. So what we're talking about now is say, okay, if it's 100 grand over the year, it's 25 grand in a quarter. So if I can pull down 25 grand in Q1, that's all I want to focus on right now. And the average check is going to be $7,000. If it's $7,000, I need 4 or 5 deals, right, to close in that price range. And now I'm on track for my 100 grand. But all I really care about is that I'm on track for Q1. So the simplified version now is, how do I get 25 grand in Q1? Got it? And then that rolls in from the schedule.
Let me throw some analytics in there just for fun, because you guys may or may not know. Your independent contractors, your 25 grand is not 25 grand.
Yep.
We got this uncle, fucking greedy Uncle Sam, who wants 30% of your income.
Yep.
So when you make 7 grand, you're really making 4,900. So to make 25 grand, you really need 5 deals. So we got to be cognizant. You're going to have some expense write-offs and stuff like that. But if you budget for 30%, you'll likely have enough money to pay your taxes and even get a refund. So just please be aware of that. It's happened to us too well.
That's a great point. So now it's 5 deals you need to do in the quarter,
which is less than 2 a month.
It's 14 weeks to do 5 transactions.
It's 1 every 3 days. No, it's not. It's 1 every 6, 7 days.
No, 14 weeks, we have 5 deals. So every 2.5
deal every 3 weeks.
Something. Yeah. Every 3 weeks, you've got to do something.
See, and this is where it gets important.
20 crappy days and 1 good one, and you win.
And this is where it gets important. It's the third step here. It's your schedule. So we have a school teacher, full-time schools teacher, who, a school teacher makes what, 50 or 60,000 a year? And she needs that income, but she wants to get into real estate and expand her horizons. So the concept I gave her is, look, in your spare time, because teachers can have spare time if they plan it right, if you can spend an hour a day or 2 hours a weekend day and do the prospecting, even though you can't really service the customer because you're in school all day, you could generate the referral and give it to one of our agents who will pay you a hefty referral fee for generating the client. And then at the end of the quarter, we'll see how much you would have earned if you had generated it yourself, right? But the key to that was, if you take an hour a day and do your social posting or do your phone calls or do your FSBO hunting or do your Remind data, whatever it is, but you got to have that schedule. And if you can be that diligent and trust the process for 90 days, it's easy to go back and look and say, oh, wow, if I had done this for myself, I would have made X amount of dollars, which is more or less than I need. And that would give you the confidence to quit the job, the full-time job, and make the transition to full-time real estate. Okay. So the schedule becomes important. Now, the same thing happens if you're full-time in real estate. Come on, guys, 40 hours a week is a full-time job. Your people, your friends that go to work have to work 40 hours a week and they get X amount of dollars, period. And they have to go to work from 9 to 5 or whatever time that is. You now have this freedom and flexibility that you can go to work or not go to work. You can work on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or you can not work on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the key to your success at this stage is to marry yourself to a schedule, and that's your only job. If your schedule is, tune into our team huddle from 8:30 to 9:30, and then take a break, and then work on your business from 10 to 12, 2 hours a day, actually working on going into your sphere of influence, making phone calls, sending video texts, doing lead follow-up. Actually, that's not even the 2 hours. But if you spent 2 hours a day of your 8-hour workday on what we're going to teach you throughout the next 2 days, there is no chance of not success. But it's a dedication to the schedule that's the key.
It's the dedication to the schedule, and it's the commitment to the numbers, right? This has got to become a numbers game. Let's go through some high level numbers for a second. And this is a Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry numbers, right? This is just real estate in general. We're not talking about amazing skill set. We're not talking about those who crush it, but this is pretty much the way the numbers fly out, even with normal agents, right, that are just doing coaching. So buyer side first, then we'll just talk about the listing side. So from a buyer side of this business, you're going to have about a 4-to-1 conversion ratio. You're going to talk with 4 buyers, 4 buyer consultations until one of them actually does something. Why? Because they're in various stages of the buying, dreaming process. It just is what it is. So over the course of the year, if you're going to have 12 buyers transactions closed, you're going to be having 48 buyer consultations in order to get 12 things, right? So divide that in by 4 for the quarters. That's really, I need 3 buyer sides times 4. That's 12 buyer consultations in the quarter, right? So follow me on this one. So there's 12 interviews, buyer consultations with Bob and Mary, who are thinking about buying a home. Some can, some can't, some will, some won't, right? But one
some
out
will
of 4,
a year from now, some will 6 months from now.
Correct. But in this quarter, I need to be talking to 12 of them in order to get 3 of them to actually close to feed my goal for the year, right? So that's the 4-to-1 ratio. From a listing side, you look at it this way, it's a 2-to-1, right? 2 listing appointments to get 1, because you're not going to get all of them. We're talking about pre-qualifying when we get to that stage. But let's say you wanted to get 12 listings over the course of the year, which is 1 a month, right? Divide that by 4. That's 3 listings that you want to take over this quarter times 2. So that's 6 appointments, right? So now we're talking, you have 14 weeks in this quarter, and you've got 12 buyer appointments, and you've got 18 listing presentations, right? And you've got 14 weeks to do all of this whole thing. So when you average out the percentages, it's 37.5% closing ratio. It comes down, I'm going to boil this math down for you. It's 1 good appointment a week. Okay. So 1 good appointment a week is going to get you to the goals, which is going to give you greater than your $25,000 net a year. It's actually going to bring about $35,000 a year.
You know,
so
what's even cooler about that?
Appointment. What?
If you get the 1 good appointment on Monday, you can take the rest of the week off. But if you don't get the good appointment on Monday, guess what you got to do? You got to go hunting on Tuesday. And if you don't find it on Tuesday, you got to go hunting on Wednesday.
I love this question. But Craig, how many people do I need to talk to?
As many as you need to talk to until you get 1 good appointment. And if you have more aspirations to that, then until you get 2 appointments.
But take the pressure off, because when we're talking about Q1, this is where the trouble comes in, guys. You need 1 good appointment a week. That is your only job for Q1. Don't pressure to have 4 of them. You need 1 really good one. If you happen to get 2, fantastic. But stop it. Stop putting the pressure on. You don't need them. Too many agents go, oh my God, I need to buy $1,000 worth of Zillow leads to get 40 calls a week. No, you don't. You need 1 good qualified appointment a week. 1, right? And you're going to get to your goal. You're going to make over $100,000 a year with 1 good solid appointment a week. 1. And it's going to take talking to people. How many people? Until your thumb hurts. right?
Well, let me
From
make a
dialing.
statement to that point because I want to be direct. When you follow the systems we teach you, the way we teach them, because you could have 4 appointments a month and put your foot in your mouth and the ratios aren't going to work out for you. So we're going to show you throughout when we get to the Beggins buying process and the Beggins listing process. Yes, it's onerous, but it's accurate. And you really only need one a month or one a week. So why not do it right? I mean, our definition of right, I'm sure some people don't
Well,
agree.
but as you're, look, this is, I think, a critical point. If you work with us, you want our definition of right because we're your business partners. And guys, we make money when you make money. So we're only going to tell you what to do that works. Does that make sense? We are aligned completely. So everything we're telling you makes us money, right? So in essence, you make money, we all make money, we get to our goals, you get to your goals. So we're not going to teach you to do anything that's not completely 100% in your best interest.
Yeah.
So those who work with us know that. And that's why we teach the system that we teach, because it's efficient and it's effective and it absolutely works across the way.
And you can
So,
take shortcuts and it'll still work, but it won't work as well.
correct. Now your cousin Joey will probably list with you no matter what. You might not have to go do the preview appointment and leave the 11 questions behind, and you'll still get the listing. But when you talk to the neighbor Bobby down the street, you need to follow the system. And so that's the process you should follow with everybody.
Well,
But
I'd go one step further than that. When you do the system with Bobby, your cousin, then Bobby recommends you and says, hey, you really should deal with Jeff, not because he's my cousin, because he's a badass real estate agent. You wouldn't believe the service I got from this guy.
Yep.
So you want to get the referral because of the effort you made, not because of your relationship. Right?
Yes. Now, do you all the time? No.
No.
Should you? Yes.
Yes.
For that reason, because you don't want the obligatory listing. You'll take it, but you don't really want it because it doesn't. You want them to say, "Damn, I didn't know you were that good, and you're my cousin. That's cool," right? That's the ultimate thing that you want. But really, guys, one good qualified appointment. Now, we talked earlier about you get to pick your clients, right? My personal thing is I want to work with people that see my value, right? That will follow my process because I don't want to waste time. From a brokerage perspective, the reason why we spend so much time teaching you guys is because we want you to do it this way, because we know it works. If you really don't want to do it this way, you really don't need to be here, and that's okay. But the way both goes, right? It's attract and repel. A lot of you have seen some of our stuff, followed content. And that's why you're watching the stuff to see if fit or you just like the stuff that we're talking about. That's great too. But really, just find the system that works for you. We know this works, and that's why we teach it. But you get to say, okay, I want a seller that's going to appreciate agency, that's going to really appreciate the value that I bring by being in full disclosure, obedience, loyalty, confidentiality, and being able to be an awesome negotiator, and appreciates the global reach of C21 and the brand and all this stuff. They appreciate it, they value it, and they see the benefit, right? What if I had set out in my business plan for Q1 that I only want to work with sellers who see the value in these things? Is that a good intention to set out there? Yes, right? Because then I'm going to attract people. And I'm not going to get the guy that says, yeah, but Billy Bob Joe said they do it for 2%. Well, then get the hell out of here, because you're not what I want. Because I bring value and this is what I do. And I don't need your business, right? It's almost, you have a mindset of, you're fortunate to work with me because I'm a really good agent and I have your back and you can trust me and you know what's going on. And when we talk about connections shortly, you're not even going to have to say that because the attraction connection will be there. But I want them to see your value, what you bring to the table. Then you're not going to get the objections. You're not going to get the commission objections. They're going to see you. So what if your intention is in Q1, I'm going to work with sellers who absolutely appreciate my value and the value of the brand and the full service offering package we bring. Okay. That will increase or decrease the odds of you finding somebody like that. It's going to increase it. And then you say, okay, what else do you want? You want to work with who else? What kind of buyers do you want? You want buyers who actually listen to your advice. You have the buyers that want you to consult with their loan officer. They want you to get involved in the loan process. They want you to really understand the neighborhoods and their needs and their wants, right? They don't want you just to be a door opening monkey that just opens a door for them that they found on Zillow, right? They want set your parameters. What do you actually want? All of this comes together, guys, in business planning. It's like, what do I want? If I want one good appointment a week, I want it to be with somebody who appreciates my value. And then I can start to be more selective about what that appointment's going to be. I might have 4 people that could be potential appointments, but what a luxury it is to say, you know what, Mary on Oak Street,
You can
I
only
really
work
think we're the
after
best
hours,
fit,
and my kids got soccer games I like to go to.
right?
You're not the one I'm
And
looking for.
pick and choose what you want. That's why this is 101 business planning simplified, because you get to decide what kind of business that you want. Most people don't. They just kind of bounce around in real estate and they hope they get something. And it might be a buyer, it might be a seller, might be who knows what it is. And it's a hamster wheel and it's stressful because you never know where your next deal's coming from. This is planning a business deliberately so you know you can duplicate your results and predict when the next one's coming in. You guys follow where we're going on this one? So it's fine getting the niche, designing what you actually want, and going down that path and talk to people. So if I were an agent right now, I would be saying, okay, inventory is really short, buyers are plentiful, interest rates are low. I should get as many listings as humanly possible. But if I'm going to put the energy to get listings, I'm going to go into a neighborhood that people really want to live in right now. And I'm going to go door knocking, or I'm going to hit Remind, find absentee owners, and I'm going to call 30 of them a day or 50 of them a day until I find one that actually says, you know what, we've actually been considering selling our house. We noticed the market's pretty high. Why don't you tell me what's going on? And I could have 49 people say, screw you, Jeff. I never want to talk to you again. I don't care, because I want to find the one that I can help right now, because that's all I need this week. Right. But I could say, you know what? I only want waterfront properties, or I only want high-end vacation rental properties in Champions Gate, right? Whatever it may be, is I get to choose what business that I want. That's part of business planning 101, is do you want to be the specialist in X? Do you want to be the go-to person that brings value and trust in whatever neighborhood? You want to be a first-time buyer specialist. You want to help divorcees. You want to work with estate sales. You want to work with for sale by owners. You want to specialize in expired. You want to work with pre-foreclosures. Doesn't matter. But once you pick one and say, I'm going to identify these customers that see my value, and I'm going to talk to as many as I have to until I get one good appointment a week. That's your business. And then you talk to as many as you need to on Monday, and that goes back to the schedule.
Right here. Schedule, proposed schedule for the next 90 days. How many days a week? Look at this. I'm theoretically your boss, right? Your broker. Hey, agent, how many days a week are you willing to work? Oh, 2? Okay. How many hours a day on those 2 days will you actually work looking for buyers and sellers?
What do you mean by work?
I mean, look how ridiculous this is. You choose how many days per week you work. You choose how many hours per day of the days you choose to work, and you choose the number of connections you want to make during the days that you work. Right? We're going to teach you the skills to connect with people better, so you don't need to talk to as many people to make the connection. Right? But that's how ridiculous this is. So if you're starting out in the business, damn it, and you're full time and you want to build, and you got a why, and you got know how much money it costs you to live, and you got to replace your income and all that stuff, then you better be working 5 days a week. And you better be working 6 to 8 hours a day, at least prospecting and making 20 connections a day, 100 a week, right? If this was not an independent contractor business and I was writing you a paycheck and I said, Jeff, I want you to come in by 9 o'clock and I want you to talk on the phone until you talk to 20 people a day, and I'll pay you $100,000 a year. Would you do it? You talk to 20 people a day, every day, 5 days a week for $100,000. Paradigm.
And say this to them. Yeah, say this
and
to
say
them.
this way. That's how
And
ridiculous this is, because you guys are shitty bosses because you're putting up with lack of accountability from yourselves.
yeah, I mean, that's a great reminder though, Craig, because you need to say, if you're the boss, you say, here's what I want you to say. Here's how it needs to sound. Go practice it and come back to me and tell me you understand how to present it. And once you're good at presenting it, then I want you to say that 20 different times a day, and I'll pay you $100,000 a year.
Yeah, but let's be honest. You're going to have to talk to 60, try to talk to 60 or 70 to actually talk to 20.
Yep.
You know, my phone's rang 4 times here today, and only one of them was somebody I cared to talk to, because the other ones didn't even leave a voicemail. There's spammers calling.
Right.
So
but
people don't answer their
that's the
phone.
paradigm shift though, right? Is figuring out, now, if you're honest with yourself, if as you're watching this one, when's the last time you recorded yourself on your presentations? Whether it's a
Emails.
phone call, income from a buyer lead, or it's a seller, or it's a referral from a friend, right? What did you say? Did you pay attention? I mean, the next one you're going to love when we get into contacts and connections and creating a true attraction and a bond with people. And it's done by words. Like, did you really pay attention? Were they D personalities, I's, S's, or C's? Or they visual, auditory? Are they really kinesthetic in their nature? Right. Those are the things that are coming about. This is what it's about. Figuring out how can you maximize your efficiency and make it the fewer number of people you have to talk with to get to the goal that puts a big ass smile on your face. That's the reason why we're teaching these skills, is to make it easier for you to happen faster.
All right. So back to this boss concept. You're your boss and you're accepting or not accepting your performance. Right. And this is the hard part of our industry, is because you got to kick your own butt unless you use our coaching. Right. So we've got it figured out. You voluntarily chose to work 4 days a week, and you selected 2 hours a day to actively talk to people with the goal of making 20 connections a week. Right? That's your metrics. That's your job. Now, the next part of encourage here, is what are you going to do? I mean, it could be as simple as calling your Facebook friends or messaging your Facebook friends 20 times a day until you engage with 20 people. That could be it. You're the boss. You decide. But if you're going to do that, do it consistently. Now, some of you might have thousands of Facebook friends, and it would take you a whole quarter to get through them all.
Yep.
Right? I mentioned Brian and Nancy. You know, they go to their 25% they have a 300 person farm. They go to 75 homes every week. Right? And they're seeing out and about. For sale by owners, for rent by owners. I mean, Zillow's a gift. They tell you where all the FSBOs are, what their phone numbers are. If you played the FSBO game and you spend 2 hours a day, 4 days a week, you can't tell me you're not going to be successful. But we don't, because we don't have to, because we're independent contractors and we're not held accountable to anything.
And the why is not strong enough because the drunk monkey won.
Right.
And that's why we're fixing all of that today.
So I want to talk about on that topic. A lot of our agents are not dependent on real estate income to survive. I'll go out on a limb and say 75% of our agents do not rely on real estate income to survive. And that's a problem. That's why there's so much complacency out there. They don't need it. So our job is to empower, educate, and encourage you to live a better life. That's why it's the art of life betterment, right? Like, for example, I mean, I'm doing this little project that I got involved with, and we're building these beautiful luxury homes on the water. And I have a beautiful luxury home on the water. But I go into those new ones, and my house just doesn't compare. My railings are 20 years old. They look like crap. The new railings we're putting over there have LED lights and stainless steel cables. They're beautiful, right? I want the LED lights and the stainless steel cables because it puts a big ass smile on my face, and I like taking care of my house. And they've got these beautiful wood-lined ceilings where I've got drywall up on my patios. They've got this beautiful stained wood, looks super coastal. So guess what? I just make that my why. I want to improve my house. And believe me, it's expensive, right? But what do I have to do? Sell a couple more houses.
That's right.
Right? And why do you think the projects came to me? Because I had a why in the first place. Right? I get a paycheck. I can live on my paycheck, but I can't improve my house on my paycheck. But I set an intention to improve my house, and then an opportunity falls in my lap. And that opportunity leads to another opportunity. And that opportunity leads to another opportunity, which we as a company do all the time. I mean, Jeff, you just brought in 44 units at Madeira Bay, and our agent sold what? 80% of them?
Yeah, 85% of them all in-house.
85% of them in-house. I mean, so those deals are just coming because we're out there looking for it. And then
And 200 more coming.
200 more coming. For sale by owners, expired listings, buyers. You could just focus on buyers. Hell, if you stood at Circle K's gas station all day long, right, and talked to people while they're held captive with their hand on the gas pump and wore a Century 21 shirt and said, hey, who do you know who's thinking about buying or selling real estate? To everybody who came to get gas, you'd have to stop after day one because you'd probably get a lead and you'd meet your appointment for the week. Right. But that's by focusing on one thing. And you could do it at Publix too. I wouldn't recommend Dollar General. That was a joke. It depends on what type of houses you want to sell.
That's right. And you get to choose that.
That's right. Social media. You're going to learn a lot about social media. Mike Puma's put together this marketing guide. I think it's him and Jimmy going to do that. Might even be this afternoon.
At 3. Yep.
At 3. That's an amazing opportunity for those of you that are socially inclined. And you can focus on vacant land. You can focus on auctions. There's all kinds of things you can do. And then in the end of the business plan for the quarter, because it's 150, is accountability. You need accountability. When you say, I'm going to work 4 days a week and I'm going to talk to people for 2 hours a day on those 4 days, then you submit your report to your coach and you say, well, I said I was going to work 4, but I only worked 3. And I said I was going to talk to 60 people, but I only talked to 20. And then you don't get fired because you're an independent contractor. We say, well, why did you do that? What kept you off schedule? Oh, well, my kid had a soccer game. Okay, well, we need to lower your goal or we got to increase your contacts. One of the two, right? So will you submit coaching? And then even if you don't coach with a person, if you just committed to yourself to fill out the form honestly and say, what did I accomplish this week from what I said I was going to do? And there's a coaching form that's part of this.
Yeah.
Right.
Or get your husband, wife, spouse, brother, boyfriend, girlfriend, cat, dog, somebody to hold you accountable at a level or pay a coach or do whatever you need to do. But you've got to have somebody in your back of your head knowing that they're going to check on you, or it's too easy to screw off. It's just, we're humans. That's just the way that it is. So that's the encourage part of this business plan here.
And then as a business plan going into quarter one, if you're with us now, how many active listings do you currently have? Just a self-assessment. This is either a motivational because you're probably going to sell those this quarter already, or if you've got none, it's a revelation that, oh shit, I got no shoes on the shelf, so nobody's coming into my shoe store. What is that volume? Because if you got 8 listings, but they're all $30,000 mobile homes, that may not meet your income goal. How many current pending contracts do you have going into quarter one? And what is that volume? Because that's it. And then the last question is, what amount do you want to earn this quarter? And I want to make the distinction between earning this quarter. You earn, see, commissions are earned at the time of sale. They're not paid until closing, right? Your listing was earned this quarter. So you don't count the closing from the listing you're going into the quarter with as earned in quarter one. Quarter one is a new listing taken or a new buyer sale, right? So how much would you like to earn? And you can pretty much now guarantee that a listing is going to sell if you price it right. So pretty cool stuff. So that's a simple one-page business plan. Let me give you a long story short. When we started doing this, we had to randomly predict how many listings we were going to take, how many listings we were going to sell, how many listings were going to expire, how many we're going to withdraw, how many listings contracts we're going to cancel. And it just got so overwhelming to predict. And we had all these ratios that boiled it down. It's much better to just understand, number one, why are you doing this? Understanding that 75% of the agents don't need real estate to live, eat, and for Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're covered, right? So you have to have a reason to do this. And we just focus on that. Take the pressure off yourself. Pick one of these things to focus on and do it for a quarter and become really, really good at it. And stop flitting around from thing to thing, going to realtor lunch events and pretending like you're working and going home tired and telling your spouse you worked hard all day. Find a schedule, decide how many days you're going to work, pick a number of hours you're going to a day you're going to do, talk to people and talk to them until you reach your number.
Yep. And if you need a goal, Q&A time too, as we're wrapping this up, type in any questions you have, because here's the goal for yourself. If you have income coming in, your goal is to have 6 months of that income saved up. That's your job, is to go earn 6 months of household income and having a liquid cash in case of an emergency or a tough situation. That should be your why. And it's, guys, I use the word not lightly. It is very irresponsible for you not to have that. That's just a smart thing to do. that's a must, right? Just God forbid, guys, something happens to your foot, something happens to your car, something happens to your eye, something happens, and just something happens.
Your
You have to
spouse,
be,
your child, your whatever.
you need that. So at least 6 months of liquid savings. Doesn't have to be sitting in cash in your pillow. You could put it in gold, Bitcoin, bank account, something to do something for you should be the case. And then the secondary goal that I want for you guys, I know Craig does too, is, the ultimate goal is to stop trading hours for dollars, right? Right now we're putting in the time to make the contacts, to get the appointments, to go on the appointments, to get the signature, to get the listing, to get it sold so we can get the money. We're trading hours for dollars. Now, we want to take those dollars and invest those dollars into something that makes dollars. So then you're trading dollars for dollars. So then you buy a rental property that spits off $2,000 a month, right? And then you get 20 of those over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Now you have that income coming to you and you're not trading your hours anymore. Those dollars are going to work for you, right? So the dollars bought the duplex, the dollars bought the vacation rental, the dollars bought the little commercial property for you, that even when you're sleeping, they're producing income. So that's the ultimate 2-tier goal I want for you guys. Number one, have the 6 months savings sitting liquid to touch it. God forbid you never need it. I don't want you to ever have to have it, but at least it's there in case you do. Secondarily, go get the cash to be able to purchase an asset that throws off enough money to cover your monthly expenses. Think about the pressure that comes off of you and your family to just do that, right? So those are your 2 imparted goals, right? If you needed some help on that one. And then the rest of the stuff for you is what puts the big ass smile on your face. But if you're struggling with what to do, that needs to be the first one, do it. And if you have any high interest debt, credit card debt, that's not any benefit to you, get rid of that. So, and if you guys need help with any of this stuff, of course, everybody who works with us, reach out, talk to your manager. If you don't work for us and you want any guidance, just let us know. We're happy to share any forms with you or whatever we can do to help you. But that is Simple Business Planning 101. And I know we probably spurred on a lot more questions than you started the session with, but that's kind of the point.
So don't make it more complicated than it is. Don't worry about the ratios and 4-to-1s and all this other stuff.
One appointment, one qualified appointment. We're going to go through what does a qualified appointment mean. So 1 a week is your simple goal if you just want to boil it down to something simple for yourself. So
you choose how many days you're going to work, how many hours a day you're going to work on prospecting, and just do that. Stick to your schedule. Everything's going to fall into place.
Cool.
Hope
you guys got something good out of that. And Chris is going to join me in about 2.5 minutes, and we're going to go into some more mindset work about connections and really getting to build that trust a lot faster. So you ultimately have to talk to fewer people. And that's the goal on that one. So that's coming up in just a couple of minutes. So
while we were doing that, the number I recall from our Mike Ferry training days was you're going to talk to 225 people to find a qualified prospect. But as your skills increase, you got to talk to 150 people to get a prospect. And then you master your skills, you talk to 75 people to get a prospect. So this is the advanced sales training. Don't make this mumbo jumbo stuff. This is real. When you learn to connect, like Chris and Jeff are going to talk to you about next, you will become more efficient. You'll be able to work less and make more because you're going to learn to relate to people and have them like you. You ever go you hear the car dealership, hey baby, you look great in that car, and it turns that person off and you'll never buy from them again. Well, that's an unskilled salesperson. There's other salespeople that would, go to Macy's. Is it Macy's?
Nordstrom's.
Go to Nordstrom's and see how the salespeople treat you. They're all trained like this, right? So this is what you're coming into next. So take your bio break, hit pause for a minute, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, literally 1 minute. Chris will be right in. Good deal. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.